part 2 of this framed session. We're going to talk about the importance of mentorship and the community that is the photography community. Obviously, we already know the answer to this question, but did you have a mentor, right? I kind of penciled that in. Did you have a mentor? I had a mentor. Garrett had a mentor. I still have mentors.
Same.
Absolutely.
Speak to the importance of having a mentor.
Well,
and why was that so pivotal for you?
Honestly, I wasn't really sure what I was walking into. Like I knew I did the research. I figured out that she was the style she was completely boudoir. That's all she'd done. She literally did nothing else.
Oh, wow.
She was also a painter.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she would paint her clients too.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is really, really cool. And so I walked in, but the best part about her mentorship, and eventually when I get to the stage of going to do that where I feel like I'm adequate enough to do that, I will do the same.
What, painting?
Be the mentor.
To be a mentor. I don't feel like I'm at that point yet, but
Gotcha.
I'll challenge you on that, but keep going.
She had me come in as a client first.
Okay.
So the first 2 days were me as client.
Yeah.
So that I could see her processes. And then we literally flipped to this is her process on how we're going to do it. You're going to sit by me.
Yeah.
You're going to edit with me.
Yeah.
And just we talked about the business side, the editing side,
Yeah.
basically every single
The whole
step.
process.
Yes.
Oh, no, that's nice.
And that's very, it's a hard thing to sit and go over your entire, literally go over your entire, give all of your secrets away.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know that she gave them all away, but she.
Well, you feel like she did.
I feel like she did because I still use those secrets today.
I was going to say,
Absolutely.
whether or not she actually did, you perceived the value of being there and the information that she gave you.
Yes, and it was worth every penny and more. And today I use many of those things. Some things I've changed on my own,
Sure.
And grown because it has been so long.
Yeah.
But a lot of it, I feel like I would have never known had I not had a mentor because how would you have found out the IPS was, the way that I wanted to do things?
Right.
And I'm not saying it's for everybody, but when I did it, I came back, I tried it, and it was okay.
Yeah.
I did it again. It was a little bit better that time.
Right.
So it is a process. It is a learning. It's continuing to learn. It's always learning. I'm always learning something.
So you said you still talk to her, right?
Still talk to her.
Yeah.
At least a couple times every quarter.
And it's been how long?
5 years.
Yeah.
Wow,
See,
that's awesome.
that's what's so cool. Like when I had a mentor, I was able to, so he helped me so much with the editing. Now, he was he came from film.
Okay.
He was an older photographer and did a lot of studio work and portrait work. So he was more of that clean, just not really stylized editing style, but just a really clean, timeless processing. And so that's how I learned things, simple things like in Lightroom where you hold the Alt button, you find your white point. You hold the Alt button, you find your black point that way. And so I learned so much of just how to edit, how to go through a Lightroom catalog, how to set. Those things are things that you just don't understand. Now, obviously, now you've got YouTube and all those things, but there's something to be said for having an actual mentor, someone that you can call up because it's great to watch YouTube videos. I have a YouTube channel. Garrett has a YouTube channel. I'm thankful for people who watch it, but the people who really get value are the people who you can talk to.
Yeah.
And
you can sit there alongside of
hey, I'm
somebody.
really struggling with this thing right here.
Yes. And I don't know how you all are in the videography world, but we have groups of boudoir photographers all over the world.
Yeah.
And you can put your problems into this group.
You bounce ideas off each other.
Now, they're very picky about who comes in there. You have a lot of questions to answer before you, because you can't just you can't just let everybody you hate for it to be like that, but also
It has to be.
the value it has to be there. And so it's nice to get actual feedback from people that have been there or have seen that problem, or you post a photo and you say, look, I've got this spotting or whatever.
Yeah.
And you can help that, or
you're talking to people who are where you want to be.
Right. Yes.
Which does a lot of things. That helps you level up. And I think coming into a community where maybe it is a little bit, we'll call it exclusive, to get into, that only helps you. Like that helps you level up because, again, you're getting advice, you're getting feedback from folks who are in the place that you want to be. I think that's massively valuable.
And I feel like you always have to find somebody that's better than you to be able.
We talk about that all the time.
Well, that's where my challenge comes in.
Yeah.
You said, when I get to a place, I want to be a mentor. Listen, I've never heard it more easily put it on a 0 to 10. We've talked about this on the podcast. Yep. Whatever you see yourself, say you see yourself, I see myself as like a 4 or a 5, right? Whatever, on the scale of photography.
Right.
And competency. That means that you can help a 0, you can help a 1, you can help a 2, you can help a 3, you can even help up to the same level as you.
Right.
And that's what you need to be doing, right? Because I've also learned this. When someone asks you something and then you've got to formulate a good response as to how to answer it, you actually learn more in some cases by teaching, if that makes any sense.
I would agree with that.
So
you're reverse mathing everything.
Yeah, so like you also inadvertently end up leveling yourself up too there, like when you have to turn around and teach it to somebody. So, and the illustration that person used was so comical. They were like, look, if I just started out in golfing, I do not need to take lessons from Tiger Woods.
Right.
Yeah. You'd be so confused.
You'd be so confused.
Exactly.
Now, could he teach you everything? Absolutely. But like, no,
you're not going to get it.
You need to learn from like a 2 or a 3 right now.
You need to learn from a middle school
these
golf
fundamental
tamer.
things, right? So it's like you could easily, I know you can provide value to someone.
Right.
So if all I'm saying is don't let your fear of
striking out
or whatever.
Actually, I'm going to call you out because I know specifically at some of the local photography meetups that we have, you have people coming to you already.
Yeah, I do.
Asking for information and advice.
And I love helping people, but I do have that fear of what if I tell them the wrong thing?
Well,
but then also like my other concern about that is where do you monetize that? Like I knew what I paid as someone going to, when I was doing my research and I was like, what value do I put on this? What dollar sign do I put on this? Am I comfortable spending several $1,000s to spend a week with this person?
Right.
Like that's where the giant question mark, like everybody's time is valuable.
I think you just have to set that, right?
Yeah.
You just have to set that.
Set
like for
instance,
experiment
with it.
To take Tiger Woods, a golf lesson from Tiger Woods, I guarantee he's going to be pretty dab-burn expensive.
Compared to the middle school golfer.
Or to the local pro staff.
Or the local pro,
kills.
Well, I mean, they have value, trust me.
Absolutely.
I could learn tons of things from a local pro.
Right.
I do not need to take lessons from Tiger Woods.
No. Yeah.
Nor could I afford to take lessons from Tiger Woods. That's not the point. But you figure out what that is. And so like if you're catering to, let's just say you're a 5 or a 6 or whatever, and you're catering to a 1 or a 2 or 3, well, you could price it as such.
Yeah.
And I don't know, every niche of photography is going to obviously require different amounts of time.
Yeah,
you mentioned having a full week. I could see great value in having a full week.
Oh, for sure.
Could you still provide value in an
online setting?
Well, an online setting or even an on-site. Hey,
or a weekend.
I will come with you.
People come to you
during a session and
right. And I would do that. That's exactly how I would do it. I would say, look, I'll bring in someone in that day.
I feel like yours would be very hands-on.
Yeah.
It would have to be.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I could do that online,
It'd be
to
a
be
little
honest.
difficult.
But because you have to be real intimate with your client.
Right.
You're fixing straps. You're like, you're making sure the hair is okay or whatever. And you're really having to get down into what we're doing with our hands all the way down to, we pose toe to head, like toe to hair.
You could probably break it up though if you had like an entry level. Let's say your entry level was online, where you're talking about like basic poses and basic, we'll just call it confidence concepts. For your client, like you can get a very basic level course that is pretty much autopilot for you.
So this year, 2024, I am right now. I'm going through courses to be a certified body image educator.
There you go.
Nice.
At the end of the year, I will be, by the time that we do my Costa Rica retreat, I will be a body image educator.
I don't know what that is, but congrats.
Basically, it's just making my clients feel confident in the skin that they're in.
There you go.
So,
perfect.
and it's caused me to be very open and transparent with my clients who they appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
People want to communicate and to buy and to be. They want someone they can trust, someone they can relate to, and someone that's honest, and that have something that they want.
I think you have multifaceted ways that you could essentially be an educator.
Yeah.
Whether it be on site, online, wherever.
It's a goal.
Yeah. Don't sell yourself short.
Don't sell yourself short.
I'm telling you got value to provide for someone. I guess the last thing I would love, and we've talked about this off camera. You mentioned mentoring. We've all talked about mentors that we've had. There is a misconception, though, in the photography and even video community of, I don't know, and I don't know if it's like pride on the person who should be asking or if it's some sort of perception of someone being unapproachable. Like specifically, if you are looking up to someone because you think they're further ahead in their career than you admire them, you would love to have advice from them, all these things, but for whatever reason, you feel as though they're unapproachable. I wish we could somehow break that wall down because here's the thing. I personally find that the photography community is very, very supportive.
Right.
For the most part.
But we do get...
For the most part.
You're going to have.
You've got your Richards in there. You've got some Richards.
You're going to have, right? That's period.
story.
But I know we've talked about this, and I would somehow love to squash the bug if at all possible on this Faith and Frames podcast to basically say, look, I love to answer questions.
Right.
I am wherever I am today, whatever level you think that is, I am where I am today because I asked somebody some question somewhere.
Right.
Now, that could be from Google, that could be from YouTube, in person, whatever, but like
local community.
I love being asked a question. So if I could somehow encourage anyone who is starting in photography, maybe you see a local photographer that you just love their work, but for whatever reason you think they're unapproachable, I would almost argue that you're wrong. Like they would love to
but what are ways that you break that barrier? Because you're a professional at what you do,
right?
We'll say regarded because you're doing Destination Boudoir.
Yeah, true.
But what are some ways though that you can help people with that? Because I know again, like we have a fairly large local community.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I feel
I've seen you in person answer questions.
Yes, and I really try. I don't feel like I'm unapproachable, but I know that it's out there. Yeah. And so one thing this is one thing I've done in the past is so I booked a session with that person that I look up to. Like there was a person in Bristol that I really loved. And this was back when I did family things. Right. And so my thing was, I'm going to book a session with her,
right,
and just say, hey, where can I go to learn or whatever? Do you offer classes?
Yeah, do you offer mentoring?
Because in that hour that I've booked with her, yes, she probably don't want to talk about it, but we did anyway because I got to know how she is as a person.
Yeah.
Also, I brought my family to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she helped immensely. Like she answered questions while we were walking and talking, and and then I proceeded to go back to her. Several more times. We talked. Still, there is a Tri-Cities group that, she's active in. She answers questions. She offers mentorships now.
Right.
And so I feel like unless you ask the question, the answer is always going to be no. Period.
Absolutely.
Step out there and answer, ask the question. Because if you don't, then it's always going to be no. If you're looking for negative, then you'll find it.
Right.
That's true.
Right.
That's fair.
Very true.
And so I feel like, if there's somebody, and the same goes for me, like I have people that I look up to in a general area around here. Yeah. And then I have next level, like in the US or in the entire world. I mean, and at I went to WPPI last year in Las Vegas. I was able to work with a couple people. The caveat to that is that, there are people that that are on a different level and they are a little bit unapproachable.
Again, you've got some Richards out there. And by Richard, I mean, figure out the abbreviation for that and you'll.
Well,
I met those.
You met some Richards. We've met some Richards.
You mentioned secrets, and she let all of her secrets out, or you felt as though she let all of her secrets out.
Yeah, with your mentor.
There is this issue of gatekeeping.
There can be.
Right? But by and large, no. I mean, listen, anything that I know,
free knowledge.
Yeah, I got from somewhere.
Yeah, I had to get it from somewhere. I didn't just spontaneously combust what I know.
It's true. But and here's the big thing too, and especially in the boudoir community, is that a lot of us pay for certain materials.
Right.
Yes.
And that is something that by law we cannot give out.
Share.
We can't give out. And that seems very unapproachable. And when I say, here's where you can go to find this, I encourage you to look into it. There, I'm not trying to be hateful.
Right.
But I've also invested.
Yeah. Well, you've invested a lot,
and I want you to invest too, because then we can
all grow together and then we can talk about it.
Really get in the meat of it, right?
We can talk about it.
Then we can get into it. And so I'll lean you that way, but I can't give you that for free because some educator has really put a lot into
put time,
that. So
effort, dollars into it.
That's something too. And it's not that I'm unapproachable about it. It's just that I really need you to
that's fair.
Get with it.
Well, and there comes a point in time too where like when you do get to that level of like, hey, we're paying for a mentor or I'm paying for these resources, like it's only fair that everyone pay the same dues.
Yeah.
Or in that situation.
Pay something. I mean, it truly like if you just have a question if you have a few questions for a local photographer and they don't have like actual hour mentor sessions that you can book, like take them to dinner.
Yeah. Or
pay for their
at our meetups. Come to the meetup.
Just come to a meetup.
Truly, most people.
I'll take an out of focus Polaroid of you.
That's also true. It's because this Polaroid only shoots out of focus.
It doesn't want to be in focus.
But like most, I'm going to put big air quotes around most of the photography community is super supportive.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I can only speak for specifically the three here. Like I love questions.
Right.
If you have any questions, if this setting is like giving you trouble, you just cannot grasp this setting.
Yeah. Well, and I try, and me as a client, and you all have seen it in the last week for sure. Like I booked a creative session with a couple photography company here. And then I did mommy and me sessions with another photographer. Like I also do things with Bonnie. I mean, like I make sure.
Bonnie, are you back there?
No, she hasn't come in yet.
Oh.
She came to the door and then she was like,
I thought I heard her come in. Yeah, I saw the nuns do your motorcycle
So
session.
the nuns, because I was going to sell my motorcycle.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to do a creative, hey, I feel very maverick. And so I got permission to go to the airport. And
you want to document
we did creatic things. And the nuns were like, hey, can we bring our gels? Yes, you absolutely can. So I did Danielle Ricker, or Cutshaw, Bonnie. Like I try to...
Yeah, you just bought a session from Danielle recently. I saw it on Mother's
Mommy
Day.
and me. And so I really tried to not only,
You're actively supporting the community.
Yes. And I like having that conversation with people, but I also like to make sure that I'm sharing the wealth. Like you want that come back to me, but also I want to make sure that I'm giving back to my part of the community too.
So this is what's so cool. I remember a meetup that we had a few months ago and they'll probably kill me for talking about this, but the nuns, Jessica specifically wanted to practice different styles of photography.
Right.
They do weddings solely. Like that's their gig is wedding and engagement, and they kill it. They are great at it. Like I send everybody I know to them, but Jessica specifically had mentioned wanting to practice different styles of photography. So you, by going and doing your Maverick photo shoot, to you is like, okay, I'm doing my Maverick photo shoot.
Right.
This is fun. Bring your gels. But for them, and Jessica specifically, that's something that she specifically requested wanting to practice. So you were able to subsequently give back to even her to build her skill set.
Yeah, that's a byproduct of it.
It's a byproduct.
Well, another thing is, so I did a women's group shoot here I had a women's group shoot here, and we basically were.
I wasn't invited to that.
Well,
Me neither.
Interesting.
And so basically,
I ain't got the equipment for it.
everyone wore nude colored outfits. And it's basically everybody is a good body.
Saw that.
And so Jessica was the shooter
Yep.
because I wanted to be part of it with my group.
Yep.
I have a ladies group, and I can't be in it and take it at the same time. Jessica came and graciously did a phenomenal job. Took the reins, and she was like, I need to do more things like this.
Yes.
That's a really cool thing, though, swapping.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so much that at the end, she was like, can you take a few headshots of me? Because I feel very, she's like, I feel empowered. And I was like, this is what you're supposed to feel like.
I've told her a million times, go try to shoot some street photography just to get her mentally out of even the wedding game for a little bit, just to give yourself a photographic outlet.
Well, and burnout's real.
Yeah.
And,
Burnout can
That's
certainly
a top.
occur.
We could literally spend a whole episode on burnout.
Burnout's a big one. Burnout's a big one.
Yes. And coming out of the burnout is big.
is
That's where I think that's where I'm at the moment. And it's very hard to I don't know. It's hard to decipher where you're at in it until you're already in it or be coming out of it. And you're like,
Yeah, you never see it coming.
You don't see it coming.
You don't actually notice it until
You
you're
feel
in
it when you're in it.
yeah. And that's probably why I feel the way I do about editing.
And then it's like, okay, how do I get out of this?
Yeah.
But I do to encompass that whole community idea
Yes.
that we just talked about, prime example.
Yeah.
You are locally giving folks the opportunity to try new things.
Yeah.
That's the thing about
practice.
photography.
Yeah.
I joke and say it doesn't have a destination.
Right.
Like being the best photographer,
Yeah.
or having it all figured out.
what does that even
doesn't
mean?
exist. Like you're always learning.
Yeah.
No.
So like the nun specifically, her wanting to test with gels and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, they are very good photographers, but the point is they still had something that they wanted to try
wanna
and
practice.
learn and test
Yeah.
and whatnot. It's like it is a great community. If nothing else, as you can swap subject for shooter type situation.
Right. Well, and Garrett asked to come. He wasn't he wasn't invited.
He invited
and
himself.
he was like,
That doesn't sound like Garrett none at all.
Jessica goes, hey,
Can Garrett come?
Garrett really wants to come. Is that okay? And I'm like, yeah, I mean,
Sure.
it's whatever. And then the next day it was up. I mean, we shot Tuesday. It was up on Wednesday. I was like,
They
please,
turn it around.
please quit doing that. It makes the rest of us look
Yeah,
bad.
we look horrible.
They really turn it around.
Teddy, by the way, their son, they are setting him up for just massive success because
Agreed.
Jessica's like a dad burn 5th generation professional photographer.
Yep.
It's genetic.
Daughter of Don Fields.
Yep.
Go Don.
Yep.
Go Don and the boys. And then Garrett, he's been doing it since he was like 2.5. So
Yeah, I mean they're
setting Teddy up. They're a dynamic duo.
it's awesome though.
And then another point I just want to quickly make is that so Scott Henry and I went
Scott.
with our families to Meadow Creek viewing tower the other day to see the aurora that we
Aurora Borealis.
did not see on
that
Saturday
nobody
night.
saw.
Right.
That we didn't see on Saturday night. So our families were running around. Scott and I are talking about long exposure and what we're at bouncing settings because Jennifer doesn't do long exposure.
None
and
of
I
the
haven't.
photographers in this area saw that thing, but everybody else on God's green earth did.
It needed the publicity
Except
that
Scott. I think Scott got a couple images.
Yeah.
Yes.
The
Scott's
first night.
just-
Yeah,
From
first
his
night.
yard. He
Yeah.
was like, I really would have liked to not be in my yard
Yep,
for that.
same.
And so we were standing there with our tripods, just waiting on someone to flip the switch and let's
Yep.
go with it. And it never happened. But we were sitting there going, hey, what are the settings we need to have for
yep.
this? What are the settings we need
Right.
to have this?
Yep.
And really discussing it because I haven't shot long exposure in a really long time.
I love long exposure.
It's fun.
2013.
It's
Yeah, it's been
fun.
a minute since I've tinkered.
I've started dabbling with it on film, which is
that sounds
it's a nightmare, but it's fun.
That sounds,
sounds like a
petrifying.
no.
Like how
me and
about
the good old
no?
shutter button release.
hard
How about
pass.
no?
Hard pass.
But that makes a good point. And I guess ultimately, if I had to say anything else regarding the community, even on a physical level, photography is pretty expensive.
Yeah.
Most people are pretty willing to lend gear out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I've lent, I don't know how many lenses out. Like glass is expensive.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say we've
And
rented
if
out
you're
lenses,
wanting
bodies,
to
whatever.
test a lens out
Yeah.
before you buy it, which is smart, I suggest you do that.
or
to
borrow
see if,
lenses.
Yeah,
borrow
lenses.
lenses. Rent gear, reach out to your local people.
Yeah.
Heck, maybe they've got exactly what you're wanting to test out.
Camera Castle, F32
I
in
love
Knoxville.
Camera Castle
They
and
have rental
F32.
gear.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. If you
F30
rent a Sony. And
F32 develops all my horrible film.
They probably get a good kick out of the
I bet they do. 100%.
They look at my frames and are like, he is literally taking pictures of trash cans. What are we doing here, boys?
Well, this was a $5 trash can. By the time he got it developed and scanned and bought the film, that's $5 a shot.
Good old waste management.
Wow.
But-
Speaking of,
Yeah.
wow.
Rent some gear.
Yeah.
Ask some questions.
Well, so like a local one was potentially in the market for like a 70 to 200.
Oh, yeah, Ashley.
which is a great
Yeah.
lens, but it's not a cheap lens.
Yeah.
Even if you buy it used secondhand, it's still a pretty expensive lens, especially if it's a 2.8.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was like, "Hey, can I borrow that?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
Have at it.
I would rather you like see if it fits your workflow than for you to, spend a whole bunch of money, have to worry about returns, all these things. Like, yeah."
Which I always do that. I always rent things. Like
Yeah.
like before I purchased my Sigma Arts, I will rent them and
I love
see if
the
I like
Sigma
them.
Arts.
I
Oh,
do
that's a
too. There's
great
no
line.
bad. There's no
They're good
bad.
lenses.
Listen, I'll go ahead.
You're
and
actually
spoil
being
that.
filmed on a Sigma Art right now.
I will. You're safe. You're safe.
Yeah.
Buying a Sigma art lens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Also, Amazon, they have their rental program too.
I did not know that.
Yeah, you buy it and then you just return it when you're done.
You learn something new.
Oh, that's
their
actually
rental
not a
program.
rental program. It's not an official
definitely
rental program. Wow, that's that secret menu.
It's all fun and games until it's dropped.
I know people.
Ooh,
I know people.
Yeah, you got no damage insurance on the purchase and return situation.
Maybe.
don't
I
like
wouldn't
it.
advise that. Please don't do that.
Do not come to me for financial advice.
No.
Noted.
Listen, what they can come to you with though, they can ask for. They can give feedback.
Some stars and bars.
You can give
Questions.
feedback, questions. Yes, absolutely. That's one of
Comments,
my
concerns?
favorite things about starting my YouTube channel. is the
Likes and
questions I'm
surprises.
getting. It's great.
You lost me at the
The photo walking
yeah.
in.
You left me the other day. I was like, oh, I might have to leave after that because it was.
It was the photo walk walking in.
I
There's no
said-
pun intended. Dang. Enter photo walk. Enter in
Yeah.
the chat.
You lost me at that. I was like, oh, I'm gonna
I
have to
thought
turn
it was
this off.
good. I thought it was good. Well, I actually stated that I probably lost half my viewers there.
You did.
Sounds like at least I lost one. So
Jennifer, thank you.
No,
you.
I appreciate you guys.
thanks for
coming
lending your
in.
space.
Yeah, the space.
You're more than welcome. You can next time you can do it against the other wall, and it's a completely different space.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll
Possibilities are
even
endless.
plug you right here, ladies, or anybody interested in Boudoir.
Boudoir.
It's a thing.
If
Happens.
you're looking to build that
Happens.
confidence, here's the prime premier destination location, Blue
Yeah.
Mountain Studio. Jennifer
You're on
Horton,
Depot.
Downtown,
Here on Depot.
downtown, yeah,
downtown G Vegas, Greeneville, Tennessee.
Vegas. On the newly renovated Depot Street.
Link in description below.
Nice.
You can come eat at Tipton's and come on over for your session.
Fill
That's
yourself up with some
probably
biscuits and
not a
gravy,
good
and then
idea, actually. Order may need to be reversed on that. On
eat
that
your
note,
biscuits and gravy, and then she'll take a photo of your
You'll have
biscuits and
that.
gravy.
You'll have the smell on you too.
Oh, that's
I'm
true.
good.
It's a good point. It's a good
Oh
point.
man, seriously, though, thank you for having us today.
Thank you. I
Thank you for
appreciate
being
it.
on the show.
Thoroughly enjoyed it, folks. Thanks for stopping in. And
Here's the hard part.
we'll catch you guys in the next one.
He didn't make that very hard.
No.
Deuces.
See you later. Bye.